Welcome to Pick Up and Deliver, the podcast where I pick up my audio recorder as I step off the train and deliver an episode to you while I walk home. I'm Brendan Riley. Well, good afternoon, listeners. It is a cloudy day here in suburban Chicago. It is May 2nd. I've stepped off the train and I'm walking home. And because it's the beginning of the month, or the first episode since the month began, it's time for Stop at the Top of the Stack. Boo, 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 boo. I don't know what that was. That was feels like I had a Top of the Stack theme song last time, but I can't remember it. Yeah. So in case we've picked up any new listeners in the last month, Top of the Stack is a monthly episode that I do where I talk about the games I've played in the last month, my goals for the coming month, how I did on my goals for last month, and so on. It's kind of a statistics and game review episode. I stole the name Top of the Stack from the much beloved and now defunct podcast of Nonsensical Gamers, and hopefully they'll come back sometime and take it back. The metaphor, of course, is that you have a big stack of games you want to play, and these are the ones that are on the top of it. All right, so to begin with, I always start by reviewing how I did on my monthly plays last month. I played 76 different games. I played 76 games last month. That includes both in-person and online games. I will say well over half of those are online. Asynchronous, using Board Game Arena and other sites of similar nature. 48 different games were accompanied in that 76 games. My year total, I've played 355 games and 145 different games in that arc. Let's jump right into how I did last month. I always put 4 games on the top of the stack with the goal of playing 3 of them. The 4 games I put on were Princes of Florence, Tichu, Paradox, and Hunted Kobayashi Tower. Now, Tichu has the onerous position of being the game that I continually put on the top of the stack and I never get played, just because the teaching burden for it is relatively high. And you'll be pleased to know that I failed once again. That's right. I failed once again to get Tichu played. In fact, this was a disastrous month for my top of the stack because I got 0 out of those 4 games played. Now, only 3 count, so I didn't get 0 out of 4 for the overall stats. I got 0 out of 3, but 0 is still 0, and that was a bummer. I don't know particularly what it was. I mean, it was a busy month. We had a lot of different things going on, so I didn't have quite as many in-person plays as I usually do. We did have my game club get canceled one night, and I had been planning to bring Princes of Florence to the game club that night, but that's no excuse. I just did not do a very good job of getting the games played. So 0 out of 4, that's a real bummer. I am working from my phone instead of from notes this time, so I'm going to do my top of the stack for May right now. Usually I wait till the end of the episode, but I'm going to do it now while I'm thinking of it. I'm going to keep some of these games just because when I have such a catastrophic month, I usually just roll it over or pretty close. Tichu, you're back off. It's too hard to get that played. I'm going to substitute in The City from Tom Lehman, which is a game I picked up right at the end of the month here. And then otherwise, I'm going to leave it the same. So it's going to be Princes of Florence, The City, Paradox, and Hunted Kobayashi Tower. We'll see if I do better next month. So that said, I did get 10 new games played this month. None of them were the games from the top of my stack. So here they are. I've talked about most of these in episodes various times. We've got Merchants of the Dark Road, Mental Blocks, The Night Cage, Crokinole, Tower of Madness, Creature Comforts, Perseverance, The Castaway Chronicles, Episode 1. Although I'm counting that whole game as a play. So Episode 1, when I do Episode 2, I'm sure I'll mention it on the podcast, but it won't count as a new game played. Trois Dice, played that one entirely online. Jetpack Joyride, and Survive Escape from Atlantis. And I don't believe that I talked about Survive yet. That's in an upcoming episode, I'm sure. So that's 45 new games that I've played this year. Right on track to try 100 new games, which is kind of my goal each year. In fact, a little ahead of pace, although December often ends up being a wash in terms of trying new games, so you never know. I did get to try one expansion this month. We tried a new exit game. This was The Gate Between Worlds. I call these expansions. I'm not really sure what the best way to categorize exit games are, because each one is a kind of a standalone game within a system. So you can kind of see it as a chapter, but you only ever play it once. So I don't count them as new games. I count Exit as a game I've played, and then these are different expansions for it, I guess. There's not really a good way to document it. I do keep on my Board Game Geek account a geek list in which I document all of the various one-play games that I've played and campaign games that I've played. So if you want to see all of the exit games that I've played or all of the unlock games that I played, the easiest way to do that, well, there's two ways. The easiest way is probably to go to rattleboxgames.com and look at the show notes for this episode where I'll have a link to that geek list. Or you can go to Board Game Geek and look for me, do a user search for Wombat929 and look at my geek lists, and you will see that list among the many geek lists that I've made. Another feature, another idea that I've swiped from elsewhere that I really like is called Out of the Dust. Out of the Dust is a monthly recurring geek list over on Board Game Geek, maintained by, I can't remember the username over there. Anne is the name of the user, but I can't remember the username. And they maintain this thing where the idea of Out of the Dust is that you are each month posting games that you've played where you haven't played it for a year or more. The idea is it's gotten dusty because you haven't played it in a while, and so you're getting it out and dusting it off. And then sort of sharing your thoughts about that experience. I have 3 games that came out of the dust this month. I played Star Wars Rebellion with my neighbor. The last time I played that was also with my neighbor, almost exactly 3 years ago. We played this year on April 8th, and we had previously played on April 9th, 2019, so almost exactly 3 years earlier. In a similar way, Lords of Waterdeep, I played for the first time in 2 years. The last time I played that was in March 2020, and the game Las Vegas I played in April 2020, so 2 years, and 3 years. All good. I liked Las Vegas better than I did the first time I played it. I didn't really like it. Second time, I feel like I understood it a little better. I thought it was a little more fun. I mean, it's a very simple, quick dice game. Not a ton of strategy. It's very tactical, but a good time. Star Wars Rebellion is fun as always. I really like that game, and I should play it more often than I do. So those are the games that I got out of the dust this month. The Family 10x10 Challenge I have not updated as well as I should have. We are making good progress on one of the games because my son, his second choice for a game to add was Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, and we are rocking on that. We've played 4 or 5 times now. We're definitely going to achieve our 10 plays of that game. We're not doing great on the others. I'm expecting this summer I'm going to easily rack up my 10 plays of Super Skill Pinball 4K or the follow-up, because those are solo games and I'll have time during the summer to play them. So the one thing I did not have a chance to look at before this episode that I told you I'm working from my phone is the 52 game challenge. So remember the 52 game challenge, the idea is that there are 52 different challenges and you're looking at games that you played and thinking about which ones fit the games that you have played. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up my list and I'm going to check it live, and we'll see. Maybe this will be bad content, in which case I'll just cut it all and we'll leap right into the next section. If this is good content, you'll enjoy it and it will stay, or I will decide it's good content and it will stay. So looking at the things that I don't think I've shared the different prompts here. So we have a game that takes place in your hometown. I did not play any Chicago themed games this month. We've got a game with a title that is a whole sentence. I don't think any of my gameplays this month fit that. See, we're getting to the point now where you have to start thinking about actively playing games that will fit this role. Play a game with text in a different language than the main game. Ooh, I wonder if Princess of Florence is going to have some Italian text on it. That would be pretty interesting. But I didn't play that this month, so still zero checked off this month. Play a game with unusual packaging, either the shape of the box or the type of the packaging, etc. Once again, I don't think anything fits this particular set. Play a game based on an IP. I guess technically Lords of Waterdeep is based on an IP. It is a Dungeons & Dragons game, and it is themed around the Forgotten Realms city of Waterdeep. So there you go. Number 18, play a game based on an IP. That would be Lords of Waterdeep. I guess also Star Wars Rebellion, now that I think about it. Both of those. So I'll decide sometime. If you want to know which one I picked, head over to Board Game Geek Guild 326, or head over to Wrapup Games and look at the show notes for this episode, where you'll see the link to this particular list and you can see which one I picked. Next up we have play a game that helps you with at least 5 other challenges. I haven't figured out how to do that one because I'm not doing other challenges in... This guy sets up a whole bunch of different challenges in Board Game Geek. And I guess some people do all of them. It's a bit much for me, but so I'll have to look and see what alternate is available with that. Play a game where you beat the bad guys / triumph over evil. Well, that one seems like Star Wars Rebellion. On the other hand, one player is the bad guys. So do we want a game where you're only trying to beat the bad guys? I think when I get and finally do Hunted Kobayashi Tower, that might be the one for that. Play a game you have already played as a teen. I don't think I returned to any games from my teenage years this month, but that is certainly something I could do. There are some games that fit that. Play your favorite new game that you learned in 2021. I'm gonna have to go look and see what my favorite new game that I learned in 2021 is. I can look at my best of, well, I don't have a best of 2021 episode yet. So I'm gonna have to go look at the games that I learned last year and see which of those is my favorite of those games and then check. So I haven't done the research to see if that one is there yet. Play a game where there is something wrong. This is so vague that it really could apply to almost anything. So I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, I don't know that I've met any of these. Play a game where you would like to change one thing. Artwork, a rule, theme. Well, there you go. Lords of Waterdeep, definitely. I would like them to change the cubes into minis that fit the roles of the characters. I think the worst thing about Lords of Waterdeep is that there's these little cubes. They're white, orange, purple, and black. And those are meant to reflect clerics, warriors, mages, and rogues. But instead of giving you little miniatures, like they did in Tyrants of the Underdark, they give you little cubes, which just are not thematic. And so I think that's a thing I would change. So there you go. Lords of Waterdeep is number 30, which meant Star Wars Rebellion is the play an IP game. Play a game with a BGG rank consisting of 2 identical numbers, at least 2 numbers. So I'm going to have to go and look at the games I played this month and see if any of those fit that one. Play a game with a title, parentheses, nobility in the title. Princes of Florence is going to be that one when I get around to it. Redo one of this year's prompts with a different game. I decided to do number 24. Oh, no, I already did that one. Play a game where mechanics and theme match really well. I don't think that I had anything particular this month. I did talk about that a little bit in engaging thematics. I'm gonna have to go back and look at what I said in that podcast. Maybe I played one of those games. Play a game that was recommended to you in 2022. Still haven't done that. Play a game of questions. That's gonna be a social deduction game. I did play Secret Hitler and the Resistance Avalon this month. I'm going to use one of those because those are definitely games of questions. Play a game with a difficult choice. Yeah, I haven't played a game with a difficult choice yet. I mean, the really, really intense Euro games usually have a difficult choice to make in terms of how to spend your turn or cards to discard. So that one will be there somewhere. Play a game with a surprise ending. I guess would that be a escape room game might have a surprise ending? Or a mystery game? Yeah, I don't think I did one of those yet this month. Play a game you think should be taught at schools. I think Mental Blocks would be an excellent game to teach at schools, and I played that, so I'm going to say Mental Blocks. That game is really interesting because it challenges people to work together and to think about complicated ideas in different ways. So, yeah, I'm going to say Mental Blocks is the game that should be taught at schools. Play a game about a historical event you know little about. Again, I didn't play any games about historical events this month, I don't think, but I do have some that would fit that. I have this game called 5 Points, which is about the gangs in New York, the 5 Point District, or the gangs of whatever. I haven't seen that movie. I don't know anything about that, so maybe that would be the one I should pursue. I'm trying to think if there's other games that I've played recently that fit that. I don't think so. Play a game with a cover where a person is looking away. That's one where I figure that's going to happen later in the year. I'll just pick one that does that. Play a game by a designer whose name does not contain the letters A, T, and Y. This is one where I haven't really made an effort to figure that out, but I'm sure that that's a thing I could do. Play a game with a building in the title. I don't know if I had any of those this year. I'll look. Play a game with a negative in the title. Same thing. No Thanks seems like an obvious one to try to get played to meet that requirement. Play a game related to the code word from the NATO phonetic alphabet. Again, so a lot of these you can see, those are all the prompts that I have not resolved myself yet. So if you think, if you are interested in that challenge, that's a list of the challenges that have come up. My expansion log has not really changed one way or the other. I haven't acquired any expansions this month. I haven't played any expansions this month, even Steven. My collection size, this is interesting. It's gone up 2. I got the game The City and Fleet the Dice game. Both of these were free games I got because some friends were giving a couple games away, and I took those. They're both games I've wanted to play for a while and been looking, and as far as I know, they're pretty hard to get, so really happy to get those. My collection size also increased by 1 because I found a game, and I did not record which game it was, which feels really dumb, but I found a game that I have in my collection that I had not marked as owned, so I had to add that. I also found 2 games that I had sold previously that I had not marked as not owned. So Choose Your Own Adventure and Mountains of Madness have both been removed from my collection. So the overall result is that I'm started the month at 539. I'm ending the month at 540. So there we are. That brings me to the end of my Top of the Stack episode. What games have you been playing this month? What was your favorite? Which one got your excitement up? Which one do you think I should try? Head over to Board Game Geek Guild 3269 and post about what you played last month. And then, more importantly, tell us what you're going to play next month so that we can track how we do. We can hold each other accountable to try our new games. I'm looking forward to hearing what you did. And until next time, I hope that your next walk is as pleasant as mine was. Bye-bye.
Brought to you by Rattlebox Games.